All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So, what I want my podcast today to be about is distractions. And what I'm going to call it is distractions may be destroying your life. Now, I don't mean that like destroying it as far as, literally destroying it. But what I'm trying to say, and I just actually had a conversation with my cousin regarding this. We just talked on the phone not long ago. And we were talking about life now more than ever with all the distractions we have. That goes for obviously our iPhones, or phones. I shouldn't say iPhones. I have an iPhone. Phones, computer, television, just having access to so many different things, including social media, so many different channels to watch, so many more things to do in your life, having access to a lot more people in your life. Even using text, email, phone calls, and the list goes on and on and on, which can be strength, could be a strength having all this access to people or doing things, or a weakness. But the one thing I want to talk about today is it is almost at the point with me, I almost have to do two things at once now. It's almost an addiction and I have to stop that. It's almost like, so I'm trying to learn Italian, and it's almost like I watch TV, but I have my headphones in listening to Italian words or dialogue instead of just kind of focusing in on just doing Italian, which I do that independently. But after a while, I get bored with that. But if I'm watching television, but if I do watch TV, and I actually don't watch a lot of TV, or if I'm watching or doing something else, I should say, even if I'm driving in the car, I need some type of mental stimulation, not bullshit anymore for me. So I don't listen to the radio in the car anymore. I just think growing up in the nightclub business with my father and listening to music my whole life and being in a car for so much and listening to so many different types of music, I'm exhausted from it. It's nothing against music. And so I'm at a point in my life I don't necessarily, I'll enjoy music if you want to, play it. It's fine, or in the backdrop. But I look at it a lot of times, music for me is a distraction sometimes. Because it stops me from thinking about things that I want to think about or kind of get accomplished. Now, that doesn't, believe me, by no means makes me get all these things that I, want to do accomplished. But back to the distraction, I think what's going on a lot that I see with a lot of people is them being distracted or them being busy. They think they're getting a lot of things done, when I think a lot of times it's bullshitty. And they're really not getting that much done. Or if they just literally focused in on certain things, they would get them done much quicker. And I also think they would learn a lot more, or they wouldn't make as many mistakes as I think they're making now. Because I think even our brains are just kind of now programmed, or at least I see most people's brains, where if you watch us even on a phone, we're flip-flopping to so many different things. It's almost like we're always thinking about the next move instead of the one we're on. And that could be like if you watch somebody on a phone, 1 minute they're on social media, they jump off, they're on a text, they jump off, they're on an email, they jump off, they're on a video, they jump off that, they're on their phone talking, they jump off that, they're on their computer, they jump off that, they may be doing something else. And I'm talking mainly, and this includes work and free time. So this isn't just, I'm talking free time with distractions. If you watch a lot of people, even at work, the distractions, even the nonsense conversations that a lot of us have, which it's really hard for me to have now, with a lot of people. And I used to love small talk. But, let me grab some water here. But what I'm going to tell you is what helped me. Even, I used to be really focused when I was making my film stuff, even though I had 2 daughters. And I would do all my stuff at night. Even I would write a majority of my screenplays at night when I'm put on the bed. And I'm a night person, so I basically did that. And then I've heard of other screenwriters that used to do this. I thought I was a weirdo, actually did this as well, or other authors, because if you have a family, it's hard to write and, really get in the zone. At least it was for me. But when I put them to bed, then I can just sit there and I just started to write. Sometimes I'd have the TV on it, sometimes I didn't. But for the most part, then I can just, I was always up till like 2 in the morning anyways. And you're putting your kids bed around 9:30 when they're younger. And I would just kick it in the ass. And then during the day, sometimes if I had time, if I was at a coffee house or whatever, actually back then I didn't go to too many coffee houses. But if I had time throughout the day, I would dedicate another couple hours to writing screenplays. Then I went on to make films. But then about 10 years ago, I didn't raise enough money to create any more films. So I really didn't know what to do. And my friend says, why don't you write a book? At that point in time, I was helping my daughter with her modeling thing, or actually coming to an end regarding that. And I seen a lot of kids, teenagers, and parents being taken advantage of. And I used to model when I was younger. And I knew a little bit about the fashion industry because my family was involved with the garment industry. And I wrote a book basically to help or prevent, people from getting taken advantage of in that industry. And it's a massive industry. And how I mainly did that was when I first started working and traveling again, I did all my writing for the most part either on an airplane, or then I just started to, if I wasn't working, I would just sit in a Starbucks or a Barnes & Noble or a coffee house or wherever I could and just write. But as time went on, then I decided to write a second book, Wingman. And then I just made it like a thing where I would have zero distractions, but I would mainly write that on an airplane. Because I knew being on an airplane, for the most part, I never get distracted. You can go and watch TV and watch movies, but I just said, forget that. I'm not even going to upload the apps. I'm not even going to pay for internet. I'm doing nothing but writing for the next year or two. I don't know what made me write a second book. I look back at it now and go, were you nuts? But I remember January 1st saying, what am I going to do this year? And I'm like, I'm going to write another book. So what I really learned about myself, not having any of those distractions on what I can get accomplished and how much quicker being on that airplane. And just that was my focus. I didn't have the phone. I didn't have the internet. I don't have a TV. Didn't have a radio. Had nothing. And I just kept zoning in. And it's amazing when you really start to zone in on something, how you almost become one with that thing. And if you're looking to create anything, I don't care if it's music, I don't care if it's writing, screenwriting, coming up with whatever for business, stockbroker, studying finances, all those things. If you put yourself now, I think, in a position, and you got to be really disciplined, because I think a lot of us think, oh yeah, we're at work, we're ready, we're focused in, or we're zoomed in. It's not just you being distracted in your brain, like going to do things. It's other people distracting you, and you don't even realize it because it becomes the norm. So if you really, truly want to start to get something accomplished, I think, and I'm just saying from what worked for me, and I'm not telling you to fly all over the country, but putting yourself in a position or somewhere for a certain amount of time, it could be every day or whenever you choose, where there are no distractions and you're just zoned out, and zoned in on what you want, but everything else is zoned out. No clutterness. And that's what I've been doing I had to do this with my podcast as well, is I just have to go solo somewhere. It could be a hotel, my place, whatever, and shut the phone down where I don't get any distractions. I have no outside audio or anything, and I don't even use notes. And I just talk about what I have learned or what I want to kind of just give knowledge to, as far as, who's ever listening to my podcast. And then I started to do YouTube videos as well. So what I do with those, and I thought the same way, when am I going to have time to edit these videos? And I said, well, the best time again is when I'm on a plane, because I still travel a lot. And so basically when I travel, I would shoot the videos, upload them to my computer. And my number one thing is when I get on an airplane, again, no distraction. My main thing is to edit my videos, because people are like, Rich, how do you have all this time to do what you're doing? You shoot the videos, you do your audio with the podcast, and then it's edited, and then you have to have the time to upload the video and put all the information in YouTube. Same with my podcast and all those things. But as far as any editing done with my videos, that's all done on the airplane, because I'm trying to utilize as much as I can as far as time goes, and also trying to stay as focused as I can. It's very interesting, because sometimes I will edit a video, not on an airplane, because I just have some more time or whatever the case may be, and I can tell one video when I'm on the airplane how focused I am, because it's not like I'm rushing to complete it. When I'm doing another video, for instance, and I'm in a coffee house or at home or something, I'm rushing. So again, not having that distraction of not being rushed is another thing. I think a lot of times when we do projects or something, we're always thinking of the next half an hour, the next hour. And I understand we all have certain schedules. But if you can kind of put yourself in a position sometimes where you don't have that stress of the next half an hour or hour, and I talk about that regarding the gym a lot of times. And I get some people going and they only want to knock it out in an hour. That's their schedule. They like to work on, it could be equipment, it could be, it could be cardio, whatever the case may be. They like sticking to a schedule. But a lot of times I work out where I worked out at night for a majority of my life. And reason I did it at night is because I never wanted to rush myself. When I would do it during the day or in between work or in the morning, and I get a lot of people have a lot more energy, I always felt rushed. And then I always felt like I was thinking about what I had to do next or what I had to do throughout the day. But after work or after I'm done doing whatever I want to do, and I get to go to a gym and just work out and just think about the workout for me, not rushing out. I also may add things that I normally may or may not add. I may jump in the pool. I'm going to do a sauna. Again, I'm not rushed and I get in the workout I want to get in. Sometimes even when I travel, I work a lot of nights too, so I have to get something done later at night. And I can just tell if I have to be there and I want to get a workout in and I'm rushing, I just don't have the same type of workout for me. Now, I'm not telling that, like I said, that's what works for me. And the older I get, the more I realize less is more for me. And I don't know, when you're younger, it's, I think you have all these things that you want to get accomplished, kind of like I did. I wanted to make films. I want to write books. I want to do all these different types of things. You want to travel all over, and you have a certain type of energy, and that is wonderful. But now that I'm 50, I've almost gotten to the point where I literally did almost everything I wanted to do to a certain point. It may have not been at the level I wanted, but I have had the time to just sit back and say, now, what do you truly want to focus on? And not wasting my time. I've talked about this before in a podcast, and I always forget the damn movie. It's an Italian movie, and it's, he says in Italian, I think he's 60 years old, that he stopped doing things he didn't want to do any longer. And that's kind of where I'm at in my life. I think if people just really started focusing, again, without any distractions, on who they are and what do they really want to do, and what's within their means, and get creative. Because I always hear, because I travel a lot, people saying, oh my God, I wish I could travel all over the place like you do. And I'm like, you probably don't. Because the truth is, you don't want to sit in airports for long periods of time. Then you got to rent a rental car or take Uber, Lyft. Then you got to go do whatever you got to do. If life isn't like traveling, isn't a vacation. They think it's a vacation, going to all different cities. Like if I took most people to New York, LA, San Francisco, Chicago, I don't care if it's Vancouver, Toronto, I could go on and on. It's a little bit daunting unless you know what you're doing. People think they're going to all these places is like I said, like a vacation, like they vacation in their past. It just takes a lot of energy. And you can do it. I'm not saying you can't do it, but most people, if you really sit back and think about what do you truly want to do, you really just get down deep and say, hey, you know what? I do want to hypothetically go to Paris, and not me, but you could say this, or I want to go to Hawaii, and I want to go here. I get a lot of people have a bucket list of 100 things to fucking do. God bless you. But most people, one, can't afford it, and two, you couldn't keep up with it if you tried. So be a little more realistic, and again, stop with the distractions and figure out really what you want to do. If it's traveling, if it's traveling. If it's fitness, it's fitness. If it's starting a business, whatever the case may be, start simplifying it. Because I think a lot of times we complicate a lot of things that I get doing whatever you have to do can be complicated. But if you just start thinning the fat off of it and not being distracted and really focusing in on what you want to do, like for instance, I went to Hawaii. I always want to go to Hawaii. And then I went to Hawaii, and then I went to Maui and Honolulu. And what was quite interesting is I love Maui. Honolulu was just way too busy for me and aggravated me because it was very touristy, which I'm cool with the tourist thing. There was just a lot of people there. And now that I've been there, it's easy to say, but a lot of people, they've told me a lot about all the different islands. I really want to, what would I say here, focus in on studying more and saying what islands are not so touristy and which ones are really off the grid. And just by me focusing in on that, and that could be anything I do in my life, now I take the time to focus in and not get distracted and say, hey, if I go back to Italy, in which I went to Italy a few years ago, started at Milan, went all the way down to Sorrento, and then had to go back up because my uncle was feeling ill. But I should have did more research because there's a lot in the southern area that I wanted to visit that we probably could have, and I didn't focus in enough. I kept getting distracted. Even though I hit a lot of Italy. Not a majority, a lot of it from. But now if I go back, I'm going to focus in on certain areas, that I specifically want to hit, and I'm going to hit them. And that's what I'm trying to tell you here in your life. Start focusing in again on exactly what you want to do. Don't be distracted or kind of think things are going to, work themselves out, or kind of go into things blindly a lot of times. And I know that's part of the fun, is going into things and not always knowing, which I get that. But really pay attention. And again, the more zoned in you are on whatever you want to start creating, and the more, I guess you could say, you're not letting other people maybe influence you, the better off you're going to be. That doesn't mean not taking advice from them. But what I'm saying is, I don't care if you want to write a screenplay. I don't care if you, like I said, you want to go run a marathon, or go do a Tough Mudder, or learn how to water ski for all I care, or snow ski. There's a lot of things a lot of people want to do, but the distractions of bullshit and nonsense stop them from doing that. I have a friend, like I got guys that would say, hey, Rich, I always wanted to play guitar. And they're 40 years old, hypothetically. And I'm like, dude, you've had 40 years to go buy a guitar and learn how to play guitar. Somebody's like, I want to always learn jujitsu. I'm like, then go to a gym and learn jujitsu. Well, I don't have time. I'm like, I know you, and I know how much time you waste doing shit that, one, you don't like to do, and two, that's a lot of nonsense. I find it quite interesting how many people watch TV or go sit in bars or just go do stupid shit instead of doing what they truly wanted to do or they want to do. So just pay attention to that. I don't think, again, I talk about this. A lot of people don't want to call themselves on their own bullshit. They also don't want to say that they're time wasters, because in their mind, they think they're doing tons of things. And a lot of people do a lot of things. But I still think overall, say you work 40 to 50 hours, there's a lot of hours in there that you could be doing what you want to do. Then I also hear, hey, I got kids. I don't have time. I got to pick them up. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Everybody has kids. But you could see a lot of people who are getting a lot of things done, even with children, or doing a lot of things they want to do, because they're more focused, and they're just, I think, zoning in and just realizing that they only have a certain amount of time on this earth, and if they want to do these things, they just make sure they do them, and they don't get distracted. So I'll leave it at that. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, I've been putting up a lot of fitness-related things. More than anything, talking about different things, posting different workouts. That's been my focus for the last couple months. And then I did some videos in Hawaii, some in California as well. And so yeah, if you want to check those out, I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm telling you not to get distracted, and then I'm telling you to go check my shit out. That makes no sense. Anyways, but that's where I'm at, richcelenza.com. And, that's it. If you're traveling, safe travels, and I wish you nothing but the best.